traveling guys
hold on,
in
hold on,
tech right now?
hold on. Start over because it just now went live.
It just now went
It
live.
just now went live. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yep.
Okay, so then let's start again. So I'm here with Taylor Desseyn. He's probably the most traveling guy in tech right now.
I'm
Uh,
I'm the Anthony Bourdain
yeah,
of tech.
last time we met at DevWorld, I guess it was in Amsterdam, right?
Yep. Yep.
And yeah, he has a background in DevRel and is now head of global community at Torque, a company that simply matches developers with jobs
Yep.
by putting community first. And
That's
hopefully
it.
we'll learn about what that means. Yeah, you're based out of Nashville.
I am Nashville,
But
Tennessee.
following your socials, it's more like you're living in the airport, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I love so like I love airports and I love planes. So I feel like I feel like I have a good job because I get to basically live in both. However, I am driving to this next conference, but yes, I am.
Well, so that's a match, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, it's been crazy. It's been crazy for the first 2 quarters of this year.
Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah, so can you tell us a bit more about what Torque actually is?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So Torque, I mean, in a nutshell, we're a staffing company, right? So we were bought. So we're a sub layer of a staffing company, right? So back in May of last year, Torque was bought by Ronstad. Now, for those of you who do not know, Ronstad, technically on paper, is the world's largest staffing company.
Based out of Netherlands, I guess,
Yeah,
right?
based out of the Netherlands. Yep, correct. So they bought Torque for a few reasons. The first reason is because Torque's original business model was to place nearshore developers, right? So nearshore, South America and Mexico, right? So engineers in LATAM. And then so they bought us for that. They also bought us because we have an internal product. Now we don't really necessarily market that internal product outwards a ton because it's more for the recruiting side, like for the recruiters internally, but we have a search and match tool. So to kind of not to go super granular with the folks who listen to this in the future, but like basically as a traditional recruiter, there really has not been an easy way to find candidates fast. Traditionally, you have to search through a database. I'm not a data guy, but I would say it's very unstructured data. It's you have to kind of filter through a lot, and it's messy, and there's no standards. And so, basically, what Torque built an internal search tool. So that's the other reason why Ronstad bought us, because they wanted to implement that across the entire organization to help recruiters work faster, right? It does use AI. We have an AI team, our head of product, super in depth within the AI space, written a lot of blogs and articles around AI. And so he leads an AI team. So we are building this product internally to help recruiters move faster to find you better. And then the third reason why they bought Torque is they really like this community-based model, right? Ronstad knew and knows they have to change their approach moving forward, right? So if there's one world that staffing companies are like, we're a commodity, right? Everybody has a staffing firm. I mean, everybody. And so Ronstad really started to think about is like, well, how do we differentiate ourselves from all the other staffing companies out there? And the biggest complaint about staffing companies is, hey, we only want you for this role right now. And we have like these blinders on, this tunnel vision on. And so what Ronstad has realized, and this is what I'm passionate about, is like taking care of the 90%, right? So traditionally recruiters can only place 10% of the people they meet on a day-to-day basis, right? So if I meet 10 people a week, I'm probably only going to be able to place one of those people in the near future, right? Recruiters recruit for the job. They don't really recruit and take care of all the other people. And so what Ronstad believed in is like, hey, we need to change this conversation. We need to start taking care of the people in our community. And so those are three reasons why Ronstad bought Torque. And fortunately for me is I was chosen to head up the entire community aspect of Torque and Ronstad, which is incredibly exciting.
Interesting. So, what's your background then? Are you like, did you do development work yourself
No,
or
no,
something like
I've
that?
never. No, I have never touched a single line of code, and you don't want me touching a single line of code. I think I have a very unique. I feel like I'm a unicorn in this situation where I've spent 11 years of my career, um, recruiting engineers. Right, so
Hmm.
I did some quick math. I've placed around 1,000 engineers in jobs, right?
Oh, that's a lot.
Probably more indirectly with all of my tips and tricks and all that stuff. But I've placed around 1,000 engineers. And so I have breathed the engineering industry without actually touching a line of code. And
Yeah,
so I feel like I know how engineers want to be approached. I feel like I know how engineers want to be taken care of. I feel like how I know how engineers want to be spoken to. And so I've really kind of maneuvered the engineering industry for the last really 13 years, which really has allowed me to become a developer from like a really become a developer without becoming a
yeah.
developer, if that makes sense. And so,
Yeah, it does. Like I had so many calls with recruiters, like talking to them like for 15 minutes about C# or something, and
yeah,
then at the end they are, oh, you also do .NET? Because we haven't talked about that.
yeah,
So
seriously,
a lot of
it's a
those
major eye
people
roll.
actually don't know about what's actually happening
Yep,
in the jobs. But when we talk, we talk like developers, right?
correct. Yeah, I mean, I've really prided myself on, I would say, I think one of my, I do I feel like I've my learning from like, because I'm not daily recruiting, and we can talk about that, like what my job consists of now, but I'm not like in the day-to-day recruiting. So like I'm not as technical as I used to be, admittedly. But yeah, I mean, I've spent, 11, 12 years of my career, like understanding tech, the difference between Java and JavaScript, the difference between, that C# and .NET are the same. Right. And so, for me, I've really prided myself on being technical. The recruiting teams that I've managed in the past, we've all been very technical. It's one thing I'm very passionate about. Developers know that recruiters aren't technical, but I want to train up my recruiters that I've, in my past. So all of my recruiting teams have excelled at recruiting engineers because I've relayed that information to them. And that's something I'm very proud of.
Sure. Yeah, you talked about like 90% versus 10%,
Yeah.
like of the day-to-day job, and I think
Yep.
that didn't change, right? Because there are only so many jobs, and
Correct.
it's probably always more people applying than
Always.
actually openings
Always.
are. But nevertheless, I think the market changed a lot in the last couple of years. So, like, we have end of zero interest rate policies,
Yep.
we have the rise of AI. So you're very uh, like you have some insiders information probably. So what's going on actually?
Yeah. So I think what happened was, 2021, 2022 marked the over hiring of engineers. And that was, you had people. I was not around when like the age of the internet came about, right? But what I have heard is that you had a bunch of developers back in the day used to read a book like How to Code in 90 Days, Get a Job, right?
Yeah,
Because they were
the
just
rise of the boot camps. There was
yeah,
this
yeah, yeah,
area. Yeah.
yeah. And so like there was just there. I mean, it was so bad or so good, whichever way you think about it, that like I use this joke all the time. But if you could spell React, you could get a job
Yeah.
back in like 2021. You're like, yeah, I'm a React developer, right? And so what happened was is that there was an overhiring, which I was a part of a podcast with a group of guys, and we called it. We said from the very get go, this was not sustainable. We saw the writing on the wall, and what happened was is that when the economy shifted and there were layoffs, mass layoffs, there was a lot of developers that got back into the pond or the pool or whatever. Right? There's
Yeah.
just too many. I know a ton of engineers, I'm sure you do, that like aren't even in tech anymore, right?
Yeah.
That just left tech because they could not get back into the job search. And I think, I think what we're trying to do is that, we're trying to give back, right? And again, I mean, I think one of the cool things about Ronstadt, if you join the Torque jobs platform, you get access to all of the Ronstadt jobs, potentially that you can get matched for. And then we have all the Torque jobs too. And so, for us, it's like developing a place where developers can come together. So my big thing was develop. So there's enough technical content out there, right? Like there's
Yeah,
enough,
absolutely.
you can go YouTube an entire day of how to deploy an app in so-and-so, or how to write so-and-so, right? There's enough of that.
You can
What
get an
I,
entire CS degree
yeah,
basically on
yeah.
YouTube.
What I wanted to do with Torque is I want to develop a place specifically around helping people around the soft skills of the job search, right? Because like for the most part, like developers, I mean, again, are technical. They can get the technical literature, but like, do they have a place where they can come and ask like, hey, I bombed this interview because I wasn't quite prepared. How do I prepare better? Right.
Yeah,
Or, hey, my resume on LinkedIn just seems to not be getting me in the door. How do I write a better resume, or how to write a better LinkedIn? Right. And so I want to create a place at Torque where it's like, hey, you can come, you can network with other people. We have a ton of network. We have weekly networking events, but we also have educational sessions on how to
yeah,
write a resume, how to write a LinkedIn, how to better prepare yourself for interviews. What are some things you're dealing with during the job search? And so we are really focused on that, right? Like my thing is my unofficial slogan for Torque is like welcome home, right? Because we want this to kind
oh,
of be a
that's
home
awesome.
base throughout your career, like from the juniors all the way to seniors. We have a bunch of senior, like I think the last stat I saw was like 30% of our Discord is like senior engineers, right? So like
Got it.
we want to develop a place where like no matter where you're at in your career, you can hop in, you can meet people, you can learn some things. And even if I was at a dinner, I emceed Kent C. Dodds' conference, Epic Web Dev, and we're at dinner, and one guy asked, he was like, "Hey, well, if I find a job, do I leave the Torque community?" And it was really cool because there's another developer at dinner who's in our community already, and this individual goes, "No." She was like, "I found a job recently, and I'm not going to leave because I've already developed all these friends." And so again, it's kind of a place where you could just learn from others, and again, just kind of being just not going through your job search alone, right? I've gone through the job search twice in the last year. I'm sure you've
Okay.
gone through the job search. It's isolating. People don't know where to start. People
It's
don't know
frustrating. Yeah.
what. Yeah, it's very lonely, right? And so for us, we want to develop a place where you can hop in and not feel alone through your job search.
Yeah. Okay, circling back to the market state we are
Mm.
at, like, is it so you say it's not sustainable what happened like in 2022?
All right.
So would you say we are like back to baseline 2020 or something, or
I would say, yes, we're back to baseline. I've kind of used this joke a few times now that I feel like the hiring that happened in 2021, 2022 was it's like dating. We've all have exes, right? Like let's just call it what it is. We've all dated, we've all had exes. And there's a lot of times in a relationship where you kind of, at least for me, I'll just speak to myself, where some of my exes, I stay in the relationship hoping that person comes back to being the person that they were when we started dating, right? You kind of hold on to that mindset.
yeah,
And I feel like right now we're kind of like holding on to the thought that the market will get better, and it won't, right? Like what happened in 2021, 2022 will not happen again. I don't know if ever, right? And so now I would say we're back to the baseline. There are companies still hiring. I'm a part of communities that are posting jobs nonstop. I mean, I'm,
okay,
I'm in one community called Next Play, um, and there's like a bunch of founders that are all posting jobs. I actually was at a lunch last week. I run a dads in tech group, and I was at a lunch here in Nashville with a handful of dads. We were having tacos, and it was a general consensus around the table that the market is picking back up. Like literally, and I did not bring up this topic. They brought it up. There was one guy, he's a senior engineer, and he said he just got laid off from a startup. And he said there is visibly more opportunities right now than there was 6 months ago.
okay,
So there are companies hiring. I think what we're seeing, and this is my 2 cents. I'm not saying I'm right here. I think the enterprise side is not hiring at the clip it was. But I think what's
yeah,
happening because of the use of AI is that there's a lot of companies starting up from like scratch. right? Like from thin air, that are going to start like having an actual business that need people to help support it. And so I think what you're going to see over the next 2, 3, 4 years is a influx in hiring in startups and not the enterprise side. Now,
Okay.
somebody may
So,
listen to this and be like, I think he's wrong. That's fine. But from what I'm seeing is that there's a lot of opportunity in the startup space and not the enterprise space. And so now I've actually talked with a lot of founders recently that they're not even posting jobs anymore because all of the AI slop, AI generated resumes, um, these AIs tool that mass supply. I mean, I was talking to Kelly Vaughn, who was a director of engineering at Spot. She's at Zapier now as a senior manager. When she was hiring for her teams at Spot, she said she had 2,200 resumes for one role.
wow, that's a lot.
Right.
I
So
mean,
it's like,
that's a cats and mouse race, right?
yeah,
Like, I mean, the filtering side is based on AI, and now the
it's
application
a
side is
mess.
based on AI. Yeah, but like getting back to the actual jobs, is that what you're saying, that there are a bunch of vibe coded startups popping out and they're
I
looking for
mean,
maintainers, or
maybe
maybe?
vibe coding. I don't know. But like there's a lot of companies being started, getting funding. I mean, you can go to Crunchbase today and just Google all the startups that just got funding, and there's tons of them,
Yeah, there's
right?
tons.
So they may be vibe coded. I don't know. But for me, there is still a lot of hiring. The problem is that the jobs aren't being posted to the online because of the amount of volume of resumes. So what are people doing? They're going to their networks first, right? Which is why I'm so bullish on networking with people. And that's why we create a community at Torque. I mean, we're always doing networking sessions, always trying to meet new people. I'm trying to bring on engineering leaders into our spaces. And so
Sure.
for me, hiring is happening. I just think it's happening more of the small, mid-sized companies and not the enterprise side. And I think the enterprise companies are making the headlines of layoffs. So it seems bad. But in reality, there's a lot more companies in the small to medium size range that are hiring that aren't making the press, that aren't making the headlines, right? And so I think people have to change their tactics a little bit in finding these jobs.
Okay, that's interesting. So basically, what you're saying is there's a lot of more software created, like by
Yeah.
startups or something,
Yeah.
but also like a lot of or less use for developers in enterprise because they are like oversaturated after
Correct.
the 2022 hiring, right? Is
Yeah. I
that
mean,
what you're
prime
saying?
example. I had a dear friend of mine. He was a project manager, and he was hired by Peloton back when they were ripping right on the stock market, and they were doing all the hiring. He had 8 managers in like 6 months. I'm not kidding. 8 managers in 6 months. And so, again, like the big companies were doing all this hiring, and then they did all the layoffs, right? And so again, like I think people have to switch their job search into really getting into these sub communities and finding these opportunities, which is again is what we're trying to do. Like, I mean, I bring on a lot of hiring managers and startup founders to to shed light on this information.
Got it. Okay, so what would you actually do to be part of the talk community? If like people get interested now and say, okay,
Yeah.
networking, that's my cup of tea. That's something I need to get better in. So how would you join that? Is that invite only, or is that a paid community? How does it
No,
work?
everybody can join for free. I mean, listen, I think there's many different layers when it comes to community at Torque. I think if you are a Discord person, like that's where the conversation's happening for us, right? However, for us, so for us, if you want to join the Discord, it's torque.dev/Discord,
Okay,
right? That's our Discord. Feel free to join. It's free. And it also, if you want to sign up for our jobs platform, and I can send you the link afterwards so you can like put it in the show notes. But like, um, it's free to join. It's all free. There's no gated, none of that. I do have to say what I'm really, really pumped about is we're about to do a complete redesign for our jobs platform. Right now, admittedly, our jobs platform is very static.
okay,
What do I mean by that? If you go on, create your profile, set it, it's kind of like set it and forget it a little bit, right? Now, we if you join our platform, you get emails from me and my team. All the emails are written by me and Brianna Holmes, who's my really right-hand woman. And so you can get updates. Like, you don't have to be in our Discord, if that makes sense. Like, you can still like jump in our live streams and all this stuff, and we send you all the information through emails every week. But really, if you want to get a part of the conversation and you want to meet people and you want to know what's going on, the Discord is the best place to be.
Okay, that's awesome. So yeah, I also put the link down here. It's buzz.surf/torque.
There you
There
go.
you go, directly into the platform. So just one question still, like regarding the seniority of developers. Like we
Yep.
talked a lot about the job market in and of itself, but like, is there like a reduced risk for senior developers, or is the market better for mid-level engineers? What's your take on that?
I think the market's hard no matter if you're a junior or senior. I know seniors that are still looking for a job after 6 to 9 months, and I know juniors getting jobs quickly. It's all about strategy, right? And this is something that we talk about strategy all the time within our Discord spaces. For me, the job search is hard for everybody.
Yeah.
Like I was speaking with a VP of IT, kind of CIO level,
Okay.
on one of my live streams last week. He was without a job for 9 months,
Well, that's
right?
quite a long
Yeah, and
time.
then I was talking to, I'm talking to junior devs that are having this. So I really truly, I think there's just kind of this mindset where it's like, oh, when I become senior, I'm good, right? And that's
Yeah.
not really the case when it comes down to it. And it's kind of this thing I say all the time: your network is your net worth, right? So you have to be out there, you have to be meeting people. Shout out to you for starting these type of conversations. Like this is how you do it, right? Hopping on calls, chatting with people, getting to know them, and it takes time, but it's really the differentiator, because if you see a job that I'm connected to, you can message me, then I can try to get you in the door, and vice versa, right? And so again, I think everybody's on the same playing field now. I think you have to go one step lower or one step under, and it's really about your network.
Yeah, and I think it's to me it was quite impressive, like the positive feedback that I got when asking people, can we have a chat or something? I did some of these coffee chats back in 2022 when this was the thing, when this place was called Twitter, not X, right?
Yeah, I
But
still call it
the
Twitter.
positive feedback of people just wanting to talk to each other, that's something that impressed me a lot.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, again, I think people, I said this in my talk at Spring IO in Barcelona. I said, I think people right now in this market in tech genuinely want to help other people, because everybody knows how hard it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I think everybody has a unique opportunity to send somebody a DM and be like, "Hey, would love to chat. Would love to chat for 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 7, whatever. Ask a few questions, and then just stay in touch with them." Right. But then it's like, again, this is an entire conference talk that I give, but like, how do you stay in touch with that person? Right. It's a like, it's a comment, it's retweeting, it's reposting, it's engaging with them online over and over and over again.
Not like in a creepy way, though.
Yeah. Don't be weird. Don't be weird. But again, I truly believe that like people want to help people, and if they can help you, they will. But you have to stay on top. You have the job search is top of mind.
Yeah, you have to
right?
be in their mind, basically.
Yeah. So it's like, if now when it comes to like networking, like it's a long game. Like it is a long-term play, right? Like if you were part of a company, and let's say you and I met in Amsterdam once, and we didn't talk online, and we just shook hands, and I message you, I go, hey man, would love to have you refer me into the job. You don't know really who I am.
No, not really.
You haven't engaged with me. You shook my hand once.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, it's the constant putting yourself out there. I think building in public, I think, is a huge unlock. It was interesting. Right before we got on this call, I saw on Twitter, they were like, someone needs to event Cursor for networking.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I will say that I think the torque.dev Discord is cursor for networking, right? Because it's like you can always hop in and message people and have a conversation. There are people in our Discord that are actively having 15-minute coffee chats with people all the time.
Oh, that's so
All
great.
the time.
Yeah, I
And
did that
so,
back then. That was really cool to
yeah,
just
I
meet
mean,
the people with completely different backgrounds and from different
yep.
places all over the world. That was impressive. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, you just don't know what one conversation. I mean, I always tell people you're one conversation away for something amazing happening in your career. One conversation.
Yeah.
Now, fact of the matter is 99% of those calls probably won't go anywhere. But that one
You
conversation
don't
that
know
you
which
have,
one is that.
you don't know which one.
Yeah.
Right. And so, it's, I always tell this story. My dad runs a restaurant. Right. My dad's not in tech. My dad does not know how to use tech. Right. He doesn't know what cursor is. He doesn't know what AI is. Right. But what he did to find his most recent job, he went on LinkedIn and messaged people, had coffee chats. He had lunches in person for the people he can meet in person. He
Oh, that's awesome.
consistently had those conversations day in, day out, and he found a job in 90 days on LinkedIn for the restaurant industry.
Yeah, I was just going to say, what you're talking to sounds like the long-term play, like be
Yeah.
consistent and stuff like that. But what would be the best advice that you have for someone who just got laid off?
So I think so. I had a great chat with Lawrence Lockhart. So Lawrence found a job. He got laid off. He found a job in 89 days by cold applying. Now, I put this tweet out the other day. I think there's a difference between cold applying and mass applying.
Yeah,
Right. The mass applying is like, I'm just going to do easy apply, easy apply. I'm not going to look at the company.
I don't
If the
change
position,
anything. I
yeah, I'm
just
not going
send
to change
out the
anything on my
same
resume.
thing just a
Exactly.
gazillion times.
So if you're like Taylor Networking, I need a actionable item immediately to get myself into a job. It's find a job that's a fit for you, edit your resume as it relates to the job, or edit your CV as it relates to the job, then apply. Right now, there was one tactic last week, and I was telling you that VP of IT, he did, and he did this unprompted. I talk about this all the time. What he did is he went to so he saw a job on LinkedIn. He did not mass apply. He then went to the people on LinkedIn that worked at the company and started messaging people that would potentially help him get in the door, right? So he would message other senior leaders and say, hey, I saw you posted a job. Here's my background. Here's what I would love to do, right? Another thing he did, which was great, he would take the job description, okay? He would take the job description and he would write out all the things he did as it relates to the job description, and he would message that to a person at the company. Hey, this job was posted. Here are all the things I can do as it relates to the job. And he
Uh,
said he got immediate responses.
oh yeah, that.
Right now, if you do that, that's going to take a large chunk of your day. So you may be able to only get to like one job a day, right? Because it's that much work.
But then it's
But
quality over
Lawrence,
quantity, right?
exactly. But Lawrence did that. He found a job in 89 days and he only submitted to 47 roles. So if you did the math, he submitted to one job every 2 days,
Yeah, kind of.
approximately. Right. So it takes that level of intentionality right now. And I always say this, I think we as human beings, we confuse activity with productivity. So
Yeah.
we think because we're submitting 100, 200 resumes a day, we think we're going to get somewhere. That's wrong. Right now, you have to slow down to speed up.
Yeah, and just be more intentional and more
Yep.
precise to what you're actually applying. So I think that was great actionable tips, and I also saw your talk in Amsterdam. So maybe we can share. Is it on
Yeah,
YouTube or something?
it is.
Yeah.
It is. It
So
is on
maybe we
YouTube. Yep.
can
It's on my YouTube.
share a link on that too. And
Yep.
also again, if you want to join the talk community, that's talk.dev or this link right here.
I love it.
And yeah, is there any way or a preferred way for you for people to get in touch? Is it LinkedIn or
Yeah.
is
If
it
you just want to,
Twitter or how can
yeah, I
people
mean,
reach
I'm
out to
all
you?
over social. All of my handles on every social account is at Desseyn, Blue Sky, LinkedIn, Twitter. I mean, you name it, it's just Desseyn. But also you can just shoot me an email, taylor@torque.dev.
Okay, perfect. That was so much interesting information. Thank you for taking the time, Taylor.
Absolutely, brother.
Bye.
See ya.